In my Curse of Strahd campaign, I decided to use a hook that involves dreams, destiny, and the Tarokka deck, a prop that doesn't get nearly as much use as it should. If you want to run an adventure hook like this, you're going to need 4 things for each one of your players. The first is a personal quest, or as I like to call it, a destiny. The second is a card that somehow relates to the destiny. We'll get back to that later. The third is some sort of dream that is going to compel them to meet up with the other players at an inn between session 0 and session 1. And the fourth thing that you're going to need is a personal reading from Madame Eva herself. You're going to want to prepare all of these things beforehand. Your first step is going to be crafting a personal destiny for each one of your players. This has got to be something that they can achieve only inside of Barovia. Otherwise, there's really no reason for them to go there. Take a look at each one of your player characters' backstories. Dig through it and find some sort of formative event or traumatic event that really shaped them as a character. It could be a betrayal, or the loss of a loved one, or their strongly held religious beliefs. Maybe they cured their lycanthropy back when they were younger. Something like that. Latch onto it and start to craft a quest inside of Barovia around that. Once you have an event, look for a way to tie it into Barovia. Your fighter, for example, who was betrayed by his comrades, maybe he now needs to reform the Order of the Silver Knights at Argynvostal. Or your ex-werewolf, maybe they have to face off with the werewolf clan and Kirill. Or you've got a barbarian that was cast out from his clan. Perhaps he has to go and retrieve the blood spear of Kavan. Or create your own. It's your game, you're the dungeon master, be creative. Next up is the Tarokka card. This one's pretty easy. So once you have the personal quest for each one of your players, sift through the deck and find a card that is at least loosely related to the quest that you're going to give your players. If they are battling it out with the werewolves, give them the Beast card. If they're going to go to Argynvostal and resurrect the Order, give them the Avenger or something like that. It doesn't have to tie directly into the card, it just has to be somewhat related. If you want a really engaging Tarokka reading with Madame Eva, it's the thing to get. You can find a link to it down in the description below. Check it out. Next up is the dream sequence. For me, this was the funnest part of the entire adventure hook. I got to take the formative events of my players and turn them into nightmares. Describe each nightmare in heart-palpitating detail. Be as gruesome or as dark as you need to be. Make these characters afraid. It has to be a nightmare that shakes them to their very core and gives them a reason to seek out their destiny, to meet up with the other players at an inn and be sucked into Barovia. It can't just be something that they wake up and shake off. It's got to be formative in and of itself. Once it reaches a crescendo, cut to black, stop, and fade in Madame Eva. She looks at the player and says, "Find the others. Seek them out. You will know them by their symbols. Find me then, and I will show you your destiny." Describe at this point the characters waking up, and in their hand, they find a Tarokka card. On the back of it is scrawled the name of a local tavern that you want them to meet the other players at in their first session. Bonus points if you can actually hide the card in the belongings of the player. Luckily, I work with the players that I play with, so I was able to hide each one of their cards underneath their keyboards. When I gave them their dream sequence, I was like, "Look under your keyboard," and they were like, "Whoa, black magic!" It was great. Lastly, craft a reading from Madame Eva herself. Madame Eva is a pretty cryptic old gal. She's not going to say something straightforward. She'll never tell the players, "Go over there, kill the guy, get the thing." It's just not going to happen. She always says something like, "Your blade thirsts for blood as your soul hungers for recognition. Seek out the mist-clad hills where you will find the instrument of your glory." Or, something like that. Be cryptic, speak in sideways sentences, and leave your players kind of wondering, what? Now that you've got these 4 things in place, it's time to actually have your first session. Gather all of your players and have them all show up at this tavern in the middle of nowhere or wherever you decide to put it. Have them arrive one by one on a rainy, stormy night. Introduce themselves, socialize, eat some food, yada yada, the normal stuff. And then send them to bed. The characters, not the players. You're not done with them yet. Now you can see where this is going. The players go to sleep, and they wake up in the Svalage Woods in the mists of Barovia. And that's technically correct, but there's something more, or rather something less. Whatever the players weren't wearing when they fell asleep doesn't come through the mists with them. That's right. If they doff their armor, put down their weapon, hang their holy symbol up on a hook, it's gone. They don't get to take it with them. Your players are now, hopefully, weaponless and penniless. What's a fighter to do without a sword? What's a cleric to do without a holy symbol? What do the cold mists of Barovia do to the person who slept naked? This type of introduction to Barovia really helps drive home the helplessness and hopelessness that is the hallmark of the horror genre. How's that for alliteration for you? The players are no longer the capable, well-armed heroes that they went in as. They're now just poor schmoes that are scrounging and scraping just to get by and survive. Now let me tell you, it's really great to watch players scrape and scrounge through every little nook and cranny of Death House, looking for anything that they can use as an improvised weapon, be it a fire poker, or a chair leg, or, a broom. On second thought, no brooms. When your players finally gather enough gear to feel like their old selves again, they're really going to feel like they've earned it this time. They didn't walk in with all this gear, they had to fight for it. They had to find it. They had to buy it, for God's sake. That is assuming that they actually survive up to that point. If you want to know more about Curse of Strahd, go ahead and click subscribe down below. I'm going to be releasing a lot more of these videos. Curse of Strahd is a huge module, and there's a lot of content to cover, so be sure to come back and find out what we have next time.